And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Live, Laugh, Laugh podcast. We just got finished watching the MSU basketball game. We'll get to that in a minute. Gary's here too, as always. We've got a lot to go over this week. Obviously, MSU basketball stuff, but other basketball stuff too. Plus, we got the Super Bowl matchup set for the year, Super Bowl 60. So we're going to go over that. Got a lot of NASCAR stuff to go over too as that season creeps a little bit closer. It's a little bit closer. So it should be good. Should be really good. Unfortunately, I did not come up with any trivia for the week. I think Garry did, though.
Yes, I do. It's right here. Okay. So this is another Kalamazoo Wings question. Just because I can't figure out any other questions, so let's just go with this. So, Tyler, before the name Kalamazoo Wings, okay, what were they named? Honestly, if you could just get the city.
That's not the name, though. That's the place that they were in. So that doesn't count. I'm going to go with... Guangdong Tigers.
First off, where is that?
China.
China. They were called the Madison Kodiaks, before known as the Kalamazoo Wings. The Madison Kodiaks were only 1 year, so yeah.
Cool. I literally just remembered another piece of trivia. We'll save it for next week, though. So we'll be back to giving you trivia next week. But we have a lot to go over, so let's go right into it. We got a bigger topic to go over today that we will talk about in a little bit. Just threw that one in there. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I did want to... we'll start off with NASCAR stuff. NASCAR's season officially, well, unofficially, I guess, is starting this Sunday. Let's go. The Clash is this Sunday night. Now, with this new iteration of the podcast, I think we should still predict winners for the races, because we'd have to start doing that this week. You want to do that?
Except the Clash won't have the poker chips.
True, because we don't technically know everybody who's going to be in it.
Right. The poker chips start at Daytona 500.
But there's been some silly season news going on as well as we get closer to that start of the season. The 42 team, Nice Motorsports, and the Truck Series is going to be fielding Travis Pastrana. Travis Pastrana, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that Travis Pastrana is going to be back in a NASCAR ride for Daytona in the Truck Series in the 42. That's crazy. I thought he'd be done with NASCAR at this point, but no, apparently not. Tony Brenninger is going to drive 8 races for the Rackley WAR truck next season, only because she can bring in sponsorship money and no other reason. Let's be real here. Corey LaJoie will be running the Daytona 500 again, or attempting the Daytona 500 again. And he's going to be doing it in the 99 car for RFK. Ladies and gentlemen, a reunion that we have been waiting for so long. The 99 is returning to Roush. Not by Carl Edwards, unfortunately. It is Corey LaJoy, let's be real here. It's kind of sad, but it's going to be a cool reunion nonetheless. Speaking of Roush, Greg Biffle is going to be honored in the Daytona 500 as AJ Allmendinger is going to be running the 16 font that Biffle ran in his career, which is very, very cool. It looks really sweet. So I'm very, very excited to see that. And then other silly season news, just announced Corey Heim will be also attempting the Daytona 500 with 2311. So, and it looks like due to some sponsorship upgrades, there's going to be more races for Corey Heim in the future, in Cup this year, but I don't believe those have been confirmed yet, just the Daytona 500.
So, I also figured out RFK is also doing something for Greg Biffle. Here, let me get this real quick. They are also going to be doing something for Greg Biffle, as their numbers are literally, we see, like you race.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. That's nice.
Okay. So, not only will the 16 be there, but the 17 will also have its form, 9966.
That's really good. Before we get to our Clash predictions real quick, the biggest piece of news from the week was the update to the schedule. The playoff race at Charlotte is returning to the Oval. That means we can say bye-bye to the Roval, which is a controversial decision. My thoughts are that, yeah, the Roval was pretty good. The Roval provided some really good action, some exciting racing in its short-term span in NASCAR. That is not to be argued or denied. What I will say, though, is that it's time to go away. They're trying to go away from the road courses, and I get that. Charlotte, as an oval, has provided some really good racing over the last couple of years, so giving the oval a second date again is a very smart idea, in my opinion. I think this car, as it is currently is better for the oval than the Roval. And so I think this will provide some much better action come playoff time, especially if they make it a night race again, which I think would be very beneficial and would be really awesome. So I like the move. It is sad to see the Roval go. You know, it was a good track. I think it was probably one of the better road courses on the schedule. But it's gone now, so sayonara. Let's hope you're not the last road course to bite the dust. With that being said, it's Clash weekend this weekend. It's the first time we're making this Cup predictions in this new iteration. I mean, it's the Clash of Bowman Gray. What else do you want me to say? It's a quarter-mile track. It's a flat track. That means there's going to be a lot of spins and beats and hits and God knows what else. Maybe Chase Elliott will tear up the football field again and piss off the school district. I don't know.
Snow.
There might be snow. There probably will be snow. The whole country's blanketed in a polar vortex right now, except for Florida, We don't know why Florida's exempt from this shit, but whatever. So there's probably going to be snow. We're probably going to have to fucking red flag the race so the fucking plows can come out. Or, better idea, you put plows on the cars and then just make a fucking demolition derby. That would be fucking awesome. Let's do that.
Put snow tires.
I like that idea. It would be like that old Coors Light commercial that they did with NASCAR like back in like 2008 or something, where it was like there was people like these skiers that were like sitting on top of these hills, and then NASCAR was driving through on the snowbanks, and they were just like racing on the snow. That'd be cool if they did that IRL. Now, will it be that bad? I don't know, but I think it'll be really fun regardless. So anyways, who do we think is going to win the Clash at Bowman Gray? All right. Self-explanatory. I should have seen that one coming.
Joey, Bob,
No.
Bob.
Bob, my eyes. I'll pick. Oh, fuck. I don't even know who the fuck the fucking fuck. I'm gonna pick Ty Dillon because screw it. Why not?
You're not gonna pick better brother.
He is the better brother. What are you talking about?
Austin Dillon is a better brother. You're right.
That's true.
Austin Dillon has more wins than Ty Dillon.
Shut up, bitch. So that was NASCAR stuff. Pretty cool. I don't really have any other sports. Well, we do have a really big other sports topic. I guess we'll get into it now. I want to touch on other MSU sports action real quick, more specifically gymnastics, as they just had their program record attendance this past weekend when they hosted UCLA at the Breslin Center. I was there. Attendance record of almost 10,000. And it was big because Olympian Jordan Childs was in town for UCLA. And UCLA ended up winning the meet. It was like by like a point or something, which apparently is a gigantic blowout in gymnastics lingo or terms or whatever. I don't know. I don't really keep up with it, but just wanted to point that out. Now for the big one. I've been saving talking about NIL for a while, but some news has come up that has kind of forced my hand to talk about NIL. It was just passed a Michigan bill or a law or whatever you want to call it, that high school players can receive NIL. If I have to explain any further why this is a bad idea, you need help. NIL as a whole. Garry, that's in the wrong channel. Garry.
Oops.
You gotta put that in the other. You gotta put that in the basketball section. Whatever. We'll get to that in a little bit. Anyway, NIL is not necessarily bad at its core. I say, at the collegiate level, but let's be real here. At the collegiate level, I think with how much merchandise is created for college athletes, how much they're on TV, how much they're branded, I think it's only fair that they get some compensation for what they do, right? Now, they already... No. They shouldn't get that much, right? Because they do get full ride scholarships. So much free shit. Access to higher NBA picks or whatever. Draft picks. So they can make the big bucks. They can get their families taken care of, right? But I do think... Now, for what I would say is that players with NIL, they should be able to sign deals with outside companies to do advertisements. They should be able to do that. And they should take at least a share of revenue made for like jersey sales or autographed gear sales, stuff like that the actual school sells, right? They should get that and sponsorship deals from outside companies. That is where, in my opinion, the line should be drawn. But nope. The NCAA a few years ago basically said, fuck you, schools can do whatever the fuck they want, and just basically turn college athletics into fucking professional sports, where now they're on fucking contracts where they can be signed to fucking $10 million deals, like with Bryce Underwood at Michigan, and do whatever the fuck they want, because fuck them. Just let schools do whatever they want. We have no control over the system anymore. Why should we? So now donor money is being allocated towards NIL instead of upgrading facilities and, all that sort of stuff. Which, to be fair, and we're still fairly early in this whole NIL life cycle, and you think it's going to stop? Nope. Pandora's box is wide open. It ain't stopping. Sorry to tell you, NIL is here to stay. Especially with the lawsuit from former players who were playing in college before NIL. And then it's like, yeah, we want a cut of this too. Why didn't we get this when we were in school? Because it was banned. Because it was fucking banned. That's why. Can't go back 20 years and change the fucking rules. So now they get a cut of stuff. $20 million that schools have to take out just to do that. And now, in some cases, like at MSU, all people that play a varsity sport get $5,000 a year for NIL. No matter what sport they play, no matter what external deals they have, whatever, they get $5,000. You could be playing fucking field hockey and get $5,000 just like a football player can. Why? So I think it's gone too far. But like I said, there's no turning back now. So why the fuck are we doing this with high schoolers? Or at least college athletes, for the most part. There are some exceptions. But for the most part, they are at least adults. They're 18, they're 22, maybe a little older if they redshirted or had COVID eligibility or whatever, right? But high schoolers, again, in most cases, unless they're seniors or got held back, they're kids. And high school is different than, well, I guess I don't know how it's done down in the South. Texas high school football is a fucking religion, right? So they probably do sell jerseys or helmets or shoes or shirts or whatever with players' names on them. They probably do that. But they shouldn't be allowed to collect NIL. And now this new Michigan bill allows them to collect NIL. I am aware that Garry is having some troubles logging back on.
Literally, I could not. Like, I tried joining, and my thing was not letting you hear you, letting you talk at all. You were talking and it wasn't going, so I'm just gonna do it on my freaking phone.
But I think it's too far. High school athletes, they're kids. They are allowed to get jobs. You know, I learned that before this NIL thing, like college athletes aren't allowed to get jobs if they're playing those sports. So they kind of have to rely on the NIL money, scholarship money to give themselves savings to help their families out. But in high school, that's not the case. You could be the star quarterback on the football team and still work at McDonald's or wherever. Like, so I think it's complete bullshit. And it's really gone, like I said, it's gone too far. Now, you're going to have high schools that are going to have to shell out all this money that they're getting to get a kid from across the state who will help them maybe win 2 more football games a year and bring in money. It's stupid. Why are we making this such a why are we doing this? I don't understand what is the benefit for the higher ups to corporatize and monetize kids playing sports, little like 13, 14-year-old. What is the benefit of a 13-year-old kid playing basketball and collecting $200 in NIL? What does that get from you? You don't benefit at all from that, people who approve this. Now, but what is that kid going to think? That money is going to go to that kid's head. That kid's going to get a giant ego. That kid is going to start having bad sportsmanship. That kid's going to grow up to be an asshole. That kid's probably going to have a shitty life.
That kid's gonna turn into Garry, who wastes money all the time.
True. So, at the end of the day, all it does is teach kids bad habits. And I think it's wrong. My 2 cents on the whole situation. I'm not a big NIL fan myself. I've come around to respect it at a base level. Like I said, college athletes, they deserve to make 20% of the cut on a jersey with their name on it. Or they should be able to sign to do commercials with a car dealership or with McDonald's or something like that, right? That I think is fine. But not at the high school level and not recruiting with $10 million deals. No. No, fuck that. But no going back now. I don't even know why I'm fucking rambling on this. It's not going to change. They change it now, all the players are just going to go on fucking strike. Just like they are in the MLB. So that's that for me. I don't know what else you got to say about this, Gary. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It's just stupid. I've said multiple times that sucks. Has sucked. So the high school kids.
Yeah. It's quite bullshit, though. I agree.
One meme. They go on. If you're not that thing, it's scarce.
True. So that's that. Topic done. Moving on to baseball. Not a whole lot of baseball stuff to talk about, but did want to go over the well, there was one big trade that happened. It's that Freddie Peralta is going to go into the Mets. getting traded from the Brewers to the Mets. So that was a big trade that happened recently. The other baseball thing I wanted to go over is the elects to the Baseball Hall of Fame this year.
Just about that.
What?
Just about the money.
Gary, I cannot hear a word you're saying. Okay. So this year's new elects to the Baseball Hall of Fame, Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran. And Jeff Kent, who was elected in December. Those are the three new inductees. Now, Carlos Beltran is cool because he was on the Lugnuts at one point back in the 90s when the Lugnuts first got founded. So that's really cool. Congratulations to those guys. So they go to the Hall of Fame. But that's all the baseball stuff that I had.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Cool. I was just making the joke of it's not just about the money, Tyler. It's about the Mets, baby. The Mets. Go Mets.
Ah, true.
Okay. What are we on here?
All right. Well, actually, hold on. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to hockey in a second because there is a pending final coming. Let's talk about basketball real quick. MSU basketball in action. They've won their last 3 games since we last had an episode. They beat Oregon on the road 68-52 to complete a West Coast trip sweep. Big deal because they got swept last year on the West Coast. They absolutely destroyed Maryland 91-48 in their second largest Big Ten win ever. And then just recently, just before we started recording, they beat Rutgers in overtime 88-79. Holy shit, that was a close one. We were down huge at one point. Well, not huge. We were down like 12, but was down quite a bit. And then we came back. Rutgers shot the lights out. They were dominating in transition. Their defense was insane. Our offense looked like putrid dog shit. And I really thought, and I was scared. I was really scared coming into this game because Rutgers' arena, the Rack, or Jersey Mike's Arena, is known as one of the toughest arenas to play in college basketball, and I knew that was going to be a factor in this game, especially with being a Tuesday night. You know, Rutgers isn't that good. We got a big game on Friday against Michigan. I knew it was going to be a problem, and guess what? It was a problem. And yeah,
It's like if you've guys seen the meme of that one superhero with like his hand like this and there's 2 buttons, either choke it or don't choke it.
oh yeah. Alas, I really thought we were going to lose this game. We were down late. Rutgers was getting all the calls. They were hitting some shots, hitting some free throws. MSU looked really sluggish on offense. But Jeremy Fears, man, I'll criticize him. I was criticizing him a lot during the game. I will not lie. I think he's very hit or miss as a guy. He takes a long time to wake up in games, and he can get a little assist happy. You know, he loves those assists. But sometimes when it's not going right, you just got to take over and do it yourself. And it took him a while to get that message. But once he did, he took over, getting MSU right back in the game, hitting some free throws. He missed one, but he hit most. He hit most of his free throws. Hit some really nice drives to the rim, and was doing it all at the end. But even so, it looked like Rutgers was going to have this one on lock until a little man by the name of Divine Ukuchukwu came through with a toilet bowl ramming 3 to tie it with just a couple seconds left. At 73, we went to overtime, and MSU took over. Rutgers went ice cold from the floor, and MSU finally woke up, got in the paint, hit a couple shots, and pulled away for this one for the 9-point win. It's not a pretty win at all, and it should have been a lot bigger of a blowout. But, you know, a win's a win. You know, I didn't even think we were going to win this game, but a win's a win. So, gotta be what you gotta be, you know, and yeah, I say I had heart palpitations during that game, which are never fun, but I at least get to sleep happy with the win tonight. And Rutgers fans don't. So that was that for MSU men's basketball. Women's basketball just had one game recently. They beat USC 74-68. Another hard-fought, close win. They were up pretty big at the end, but then they turned it over 3 straight times and let USC close the gap. But came through at the end and pulled off a big win. So that's really good stuff there. So men's team is 19-2, ranked number 7 in the country. Women's team is number 13 in the country, 18-2. So doing really, really good basketball in the state of Michigan right now. Pistons also doing really good. They beat the Celtics in another hard-fought, close win against the Celtics, 104-103. In a game where the Pistons were getting killed by the blow-bys in the paint. They pulled through, got another close one to take the season series against the Celtics, 3-1. So it should be a really, really good playoff matchup if they meet there, which they could, because Celtics are still doing pretty good, and Jason Tatum's going to come back before the end of the season, so they're only going to get better, you would think. So that could be very interesting. The Pistons then hit the road and had a scrappy, but pulled it off against the Pelicans, 112-104. They came back home and lost a stinker to Houston, 111-104. Should have never happened, but you know we can forget about that one because they rebounded and beat the Kings 137-116 in an offensive explosion. So really good stuff there. And as we speak, the Pistons are currently playing. We'll talk about this game a little bit more next episode because it won't be over by the time we're done here today. But they're currently on the road playing Denver, and they're up 38-22 in the second quarter.
I was just gonna say I have it up right now. I'm watching it, just keeping an eye on it.
It's like Kincaid's off for 8 points, and Jokic is not playing, so that's great. Should win that one. Some other NCAA basketball. What?
It's in Denver too.
I know it is in Denver. Great. Other NCAA action. Purdue had a bad week. They got upset by UCLA on the road, 69-67. And then came home and lost to Illinois, 88-82, as the freshman from Illinois went off for 46 points, the most anybody has ever scored in Mackey Arena as a visiting team member. And then recently, Nebraska's undefeated season is no more, as they lost to Michigan 78-72 or 75-72. Suffer their first loss of the season, which sucks because it was against Michigan. I was hoping they'd beat Michigan, but whatever.
Okay, that's what Michigan State's for.
True. That's all the other NCAA basketball action that I had. I mean, I've been trying to look for more upsets. There just hasn't been any massive noteworthy ones. That's really all I had for basketball stuff in general. Hockey action. Get back to that now. MSU was back at home this weekend playing Minnesota, and they pulled off the series sweep. Beating Minnesota 3-1 in the first game and 3-2 in the second game. So, very good stuff there. Feel good win in memoriam of Dan Sturgis. The Red Wings just went final, so we'll talk about them now. This is what I was waiting on. But they played 4 games since the last time we talked in this podcast. They beat Toronto 2-1 in overtime. Very, very exciting win. Then they went to Minnesota and lost 4-3 in overtime in that one on a back-to-back. Then they beat the Jets 5-1, and then they just lost to the Kings 3-1. That's a pretty bad loss, but oh well.
But it's okay. We beat Toronto.
We swept Toronto on the season series, which is nice. Just have some K-Wings action. Otherwise, for hockey, I'll let Garry take over and explain that.
Oh, before we get into that, as you real know that on the 31st, me, Tyler, and Jeffy are going to Toledo to go watch the K-Wings versus the Walleye. This series is the Kalamazoo Wings versus Toledo Walleye series, 4-game series. All I can say is it's a series tie right now. The first game, the Kalamazoo Wings lose to Toledo 2-1, and then in Kalamazoo beats Toledo 2-1 in OT. I was watching both of those games. Now I just gotta hope that on the 30th, when they're in Kalamazoo wins. Because if that's the case, when we go, we either will see Kalamazoo win the series, or we'll see a series split, which I will take either. But other than that, let me quickly tell you the standings for Kalamazoo and Toledo's division. Of course, you got the Walleye in first and the Comets in second. Basically, there hasn't been any change, actually, to be honest with you. Walleye in first with 52 points. The Comets are in second, 48 points. Bison are third, 42 points. Actually, they're tied with the Indy Fuel at 42. The Cyclones at 37 points. Kalamazoo, this is the crucial one. That's why they need to win twice, and the Cyclones need to lose at least once because the Cyclones have 37 points and the K-Wings have 36 points. And then the Iowa Heartlanders at 25 points.
Damn.
So, Kalamazoo's still trying to fight, but they don't have a lot of time left.
The clock is ticking on me. Okay. So that's all the hockey action that we had. Now we'll get into the brunt of what we want to talk about this week, which is football stuff. A lot of football action has happened. First off, real quick, talk about college football. Indiana pulled off the perfect season, knocking off Miami 27-21 to win the national championship. Congratulations, Indiana. Indiana had this game on lock for the most part until the fourth quarter. Miami woke up and really was starting to trounce them on offense. I was going to be really pissed if Indiana lost that game because they were dominating. Miami also looked like absolute dog shit for 3 quarters. So if they had pulled off the win, I think that would have been very terrible. And Miami had a shot. They had the ball down. They had the ball down 6 late, and then Carson Beck threw another interception. So it's a feel-good story for Indiana, I say. I'm
And
really
it's
happy
okay. At
for
least
them.
Miami has one thing. That the camera was pointed at half the day or half the entire game.
True. That must suck though, as a Miami fan, to lose the national championship game on your home turf. This game was in Miami. That's wild. And then specifically for MSU, the 2026 schedule is out. So we'll give that a quick analysis if I can find it. Where the fuck is it? Here it is. All right, so here is the 2026 MSU football schedule. So they start off September 5th at home against Toledo. September 12th, they are home again against Eastern Michigan. Then they head on the road to Notre Dame, the first of a home-and-home series with them. Then they're back home against Nebraska to open Big Ten play. Then they're at Wisconsin, October 3rd. They're Illinois at home, October 10th. Northwestern at home in the Pat Fitzgerald Bowl, October 17th. Then they're at UCLA on October 24th. Then they have their bye week over Halloween weekend. Then they're back on the road facing Michigan November 7th. That's a late matchup with Michigan this year. Usually happens around mid to end of October, so for a early November matchup, could be interesting at the Big House. Then their last 2 home games of the year.
Crap house.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I'm back. That was weird. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, they close out their home schedule against Washington on November 14th and Oregon on November 21st, before ending their season off on the road against Rutgers November 28th. As you can tell, not a very, very, very flashy schedule. Notre Dame on the road, that'll be tough. Michigan on the road. Oregon's going to be a tough opponent. But really, outside of that, who are we really excited to see here? Not really anybody. So you'd like to think that MSU could possibly have a pretty good season with these opponents. Like, they should be Toledo. They should be Eastern Michigan. Those shouldn't be problems. They should be Rutgers, but I doubt that'll happen. Illinois should be easy. Nebraska, they can pull that off. Northwestern, they should be able to win that. Washington,
especially if
Washington,
who.
not that great. My record prediction for MSU, and this is way too early. We're still in January. So much can happen. I'm gonna say ceiling 9-3, floor 4-8 again. That's what I'm gonna say about that. Because we really don't know how good this team is truly going to be yet. I think with Pat Fitzgerald, I think we have a legitimate chance at a bowl game because I think Pat Fitzgerald is a really down-to-earth, knowledgeable, good coach. I talked to him a few times. I've seen a lot of stuff about him. I have a lot of faith in him now. Much more than
Even though
when
you
he
said
got
he
hired first.
sucked.
I have much more faith in him now than when he started here. When he got hired. Okay. So that'll be cool. But that's all the college action that I had. Moving to NFL. Oh, Garry had something?
I was going to say my record that I think.
Oh, yeah. Record prediction. What you got?
You're good. So, they're not going to beat Notre Dame. Let's be honest here. They're not going to beat Notre Dame. They're not even close to beating Notre Dame. I would say, how many games are there this year? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to go 6-6 with just making a bowl game. We lose against Notre Dame. We lose against Illinois. We lose against Oregon. I would say we lose against UCLA and Northwestern. And if I haven't said it yet, Wisconsin. So I think we're going to beat Michigan this year.
I'd like to see it. I think we have a chance to with how Michigan's been battered down and weakened with all the shit that they've been dealing with. But I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. You know what I'm saying? So that's it for college stuff. Now we get on to the pros. Just one little piece of Detroit Lions news. Dan Skipper has retired.
Dan Skipper has reported as retiring.
Much deserved.
Thank you, Dan.
Much earned. Thank you, Dan Skipper. You will be missed. Enjoy retirement. So, if the Lions didn't need help before on the offensive line, they sure do now. With him gone. Anyway. Been a lot of coaching changes, or coaching hires as well. The NFL. The Titans got their new head coach, Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh had 1 year as the 49ers defensive coordinator, and the Titans apparently thought that was enough, and he was a changed man, and they could make him a good head coach. Did you not see what happened in New York? But we'll see if that works out at all, which you definitely won't. The Ravens found their new head coach. They are hiring Jesse Minter, who is coming over from the Chargers to be their head coach. Oh, we'll get to that one in a second. Just recently, the Bills also filled their head coaching vacancy. They're promoting Joe Brady from offensive coordinator to head coach. Honestly, for the Bills, probably the most solid move that they could have done. I don't think they would have found anybody better. But also, they should have never fired Sean McDermott. They should have fired Josh Allen instead. But, we won't have that conversation. Oh, and the Steelers got their head coach, too. You all know who it is? Mike McCarthy. Oh my God. This is quite possibly one of the funniest coaching and most questionable coaching hires ever. Now, the Steelers haven't had to put a lot of effort into head coaching searches over the last 60 to 70 years. The first time that they've had to hire a coach in 20 years, right? But you cannot tell me that the Steelers front office looked at all the possible head coaching options and decided, yeah, Mike McCarthy is the best choice to be the Steelers coach. Mike McCarthy is who we want. Mike McCarthy is going to lead us to the promised land.
You know what they're thinking? Aaron Rodgers is staying.
No, he's not.
And Mike
He
McCarthy
shouldn't.
used to coach for the Green Bay Packers, and Aaron Rodgers was on that team.
And you're right. That was probably the thought process that they had with this. Like, oh, Mike McCarthy dicked around for 20 years, and Aaron Rodgers happened to luck out and get a Super Bowl because they ended up playing the fucking Bears in the NFC Championship, so that must work out, right? Oh, yeah. Let's forget the fact that Mike McCarthy wasted most of Aaron Rodgers' prime dicking around and not getting the goddamn defense. So let's pair Mike McCarthy up now with a Aaron Rodgers that can't even throw a ball 5 feet in front of his face. That'll surely work out. That's probably what they thought. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious because essentially what the Steelers have done here is replaced Mike Tomlin with a worse Mike Tomlin. Mike McCarthy is basically the same type of coach. He gets all the talent, he gets all the praise, he gets all the notoriety, and then he shits himself when it actually matters. There is no conceivable path, and there's no conceivable plan or path to how Mike McCarthy coaching a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers pans out to successes for Pittsburgh. And it is so funny that they decided that this was the guy to lead the helm. What a move, Pittsburgh. What a move. Folks, the AFC North winner might be a 6-win team next year, folks. And it could be the Bengals. You could see the Bengals coming into the playoffs at 6-11.
I don't see it. I'm sorry, but I see the Cleveland Browns.
The Browns don't even have their coach yet. The Browns are coachless. Nobody wants to coach the Browns. I mean, honestly, the teams that are in the best position here are probably either the Bengals, because they're the only ones retaining their coach and they have a good quarterback, or the Ravens, who I think got a fairly solid coaching choice, but they're not really in that good of a position as it is.
They should have never fired John Harbaugh.
No, they really shouldn't have, but, well, I think they should have fired John Harbaugh like 8 years ago or 10 years ago. They shouldn't have fired him now. but I digress. That's it that I had for silly season stuff. We do have one more thing left, and of course, that is to preview the upcoming Super Bowl 60. The matchups are set. Conference championship weekend was a doozy. The Broncos without Bo Nix. We're going into the AFC Championship against the Patriots, looking to advance, and holy hell did they lay an egg in the playoffs. Denver scored on their second drive of the game, thanks to a couple nice passes from Jared Stidham, I think that's his name, and the offense pretty much gave up after that. The defense, meanwhile, was doing pretty good outside of a couple drives. And that was all the Patriots needed, though, as they escaped Denver in an ugly 10-7 win. There was a snowstorm. Offense was sluggish. But New England pulls it out, and they reach the Super Bowl again. Woohoo! Yay! The NFC side was a little bit more exciting. It was a bit more of a back and forth effort, better high offensive scoring with Seattle and the Rams. And the Rams had a shot. You know, they had the ball with a chance to take the lead early in the second half, and special teams fuck up. And they fucked up. They fucked up bad. Ultimately, still had a chance late, but Stafford, for how good he had been this season, and he played pretty good in this game, could not overcome it. Sam Darnold played damn near perfect, and the Seahawks defense came up with some clutch moments at the right time, and Seattle escapes with the win, 31-27, to advance to their first Super Bowl since 2015. So, folks, our matchup is a rematch of Super Bowl 49. Patriots versus Seahawks. Drake May versus Sam Darnold in a Super Bowl.
I feel bad for New York Jets fans.
If you would have told me at the start of the season, or hell, like week 10, if you had told me like week 10 that the Super Bowl was going to be Drake May versus Sam Darnold, I would have put you in a mental asylum. But here we are. And this should be, well, I can't even say this would be a good game. On paper, the Seahawks should trounce. They've played a much better in the postseason. They've got a more well-rounded team. Elite defense, Kenneth Walker. Sam Darnold's been playing out of his mind. This should be for them. But the Patriots also have a very solid defense. Drake May has had a breakout year. And Mac Darnold's is bound to reopen at some point. So,
The ghost.
Really, anything is possible. So much is possible that the Seahawks might even pass the ball on the 1-yard line again. But, alas, this should be a pretty good game. But, like, it's going to be closer than it should be. Will it be a really close game? I don't think so. Both these quarterbacks, I mean, Sam Darnold has the more veteran-esque side to him, but he's had a lot of stinkers in his career. And, you know, neither of these teams look anything like they did in that Super Bowl 49 rematch. No Russell Wilson, no Tom Brady, no Malcolm Butler, no Marshawn Lynch, no Legion of Boom, no nothing. So you can't have any, experience to lean on from that regard. Alas, should still be a good time. At least it's not the Chiefs or the Eagles again. But my score prediction for the Super Bowl 60, I'm gonna go Seattle winning 31 to 17. No, Seattle 31 to 17.
For me, I was going to say Patriots. I really was. Until I figured out and I come to realize that the Seahawks have a fucking Spartan on their team named Kenneth Walker III who can run like a cheetah.
Well, technically, both the Patriots and the Seahawks both have an
I
MSU
know.
player on their team.
I know.
So
I
we are
know. Kenneth Walker is better.
we are guaranteed an MSU player winning the Super Bowl this year, which is
Yeah,
very
but
cool.
also Michigan. The Michigan Wolverines have more.
Who cares, Garry? Who the fuck cares?
Exactly.
Who the
Anyways,
fuck cares?
But I think the Seahawks are going to win 35-34. It is going to become that one pass.
Ooh. I like it. I like it. That should be good. Yeah, that's all I gotta really say for this week's episode. It was a good episode. Super Bowl isn't for a couple weeks, so we won't talk about it next week's episode. We will recap the Clash, and we will go over this upcoming Toledo trip that we've got coming up this weekend. We actually just added on a little bit more to it. On top of the K-Wings versus the Toledo Walleye game that we are going to, we're also going to be seeing Toledo men's basketball play Ball State, because we found out they play the same day at noon, so we'll actually have time to go watch it. So that'll be cool. They're probably, I don't know if I'm going to do one single vlog for the whole day or if I'm going to do 2 vlogs for each game. I'm not sure, but there'll at least be 2 arena reviews coming. And we'll talk about both games and the experiences on next week's episode. Plus, we'll recap other action that happens and anything else interesting that comes up. So, should be good. Anyways, guys, I gotta take a dump, so I'm gonna get out of here. It's gonna do it for this episode. Stay tuned for other much more amazing content, both here and on the Pringleson YouTube channel. And until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.